Yeah, Kubo had plenty of opportunities to explain that. He just never did. He just kind of left it like, yeah, okay, Ichigo, Final Getsuga Tensho, that happened, but we're never going to mention it again. And I feel it's a way more cheap thing to do when it's a character that has established abilities that we sort of understand, and then an object that just comes out of nowhere. Like, Ichigo had, okay, Shinigami power, Hollow power, eventually Quincy power. We understand this. And then he gets this Final Getsuga. He gets this ability that's like a second stage Bankai. Never mentioned before that existed or that he could do that. You could say that it's connected to his Quincy powers, but I already mentioned my problems with that in the last video. You can go check that out here. I think that's way more of a cheap thing to do. I know that I steadfastly declared multiple times on this channel that I believed Kubo never had the whole Quincy Zangetsu thing planned out, and he just pulled it up out of, well, not out of nowhere. I believed he had the idea around the end of the Fake Karakura arc, and he never alluded to it beforehand. But then this chapter comes along, and it really opens our eyes to the things that Kubo really planned out way before even the Fake Karakura Town arc even started. So, that being the case, this would be the point when I stand here and declare that I was wrong. Unfortunately, I'm a hypocritical bastard, so no! I'm still right! Because I still think that Kubo didn't plan this out from the beginning.
Yeah. So, before I absolutely destroy Tekking101, before I'm going to tear him apart, ripping off his limbs, I will destroy Tekking101, even if it's the last thing I shall do. I am going to eradicate the very existence of Tekking's essence. After I'm done with him, there will be nothing left of Tekking's essence. As of this day, Tekking101 shall be known as Tekking No, Simp King 101, worshipper of One Piece, and Simp of Eiichiro Oda. But before I destroy Tekking, I'm actually going to say a few nice things about Tekking. I watched him from the very beginning of his Bleach reviews. I was subscribed to the guy when he had less than 1000 subscribers. Tekking was funny, he was quirky, he was cringy, but most of all, he was honest. Back in the day, during the Bleach reviews, Tekking was not a simp. Tekking was a legit reviewer. When he reviewed a chapter of Bleach, he talked about the things that he liked, he talked about the things he didn't like. He called out plot holes. Tekking made rant videos about Bleach. He ranted about the Zero Squad. He ranted about the ending of Bleach. Tekking made a video saying that if he was the creator of Bleach, he would have made a lot of changes in the ending. He also ranted about many other things, like the 4 or 5 chapters where this villain was fighting against Kenpachi. This villain had the power of imagination. He was able to imagine anything to existence. The fight lasted for like 5 chapters, and every single review that Tekki made was a rant. He was ranting about this villain, saying that this guy is stupid, he doesn't know how to use the imagination ability. I also remember Tekking talking about the true form of Ichigo's Zanpakuto spirit. He said that it was never foreshadowed that Ichigo's true Zanpakuto spirit was actually white, not Zangetsu. So Tekking ranted about that, and the only thing I can say about that is Zangetsu, not being the actual Zanpakuto spirit, had more foreshadowing than Luffy being a fucking god. So yeah, in this video, I'm going to show clips of Tekking reacting to the absolute worst chapters of One Piece. Chapters that are completely filled with plot holes, character decisions not making any sense, and Tekking will scream and yell and hype. And he will ignore all those issues with One Piece. Because when it comes to One Piece, this so-called anime manga reviewer forgot how to review. And after I'm done showing the clips of Tekking simping for One Piece, I'm gonna show you the clips of Tekking trashing Bleach, Fairy Tail, Naruto, and anything else I can find. And by the way, these things that I'm saying about Tekking, you can replace him with King of Lightning, Mr. Morche, For Neverworld, Roger Space, GB Reviews, and whoever else. Because at the end of the day, all these guys will call out plot holes in everything besides One Piece. I mean, it's ridiculous. I have no idea why One Piece has such power over these guys. And by the way, the only reason I made this channel was so at least there would be someone who called out all the plot holes in One Piece. Because the reviewers are not doing their job, the reviewers are just simping. Now I'm going to show some of the worst chapters in One Piece. I will show how Tekking reacted to these horrible chapters. And I will show small clips of my rants. How I reacted to these chapters, aka how a normal person is supposed to react. The first chapter I'm gonna talk about is chapter 1073. This is the chapter where Stassi is revealed to be a double agent working for Vegapunk. She easily took out 2 awakened devil fruit users, and she was revealed to be a clone created by Vegapunk. The world government were so stupid that somehow they allowed a creation of Vegapunk to join their organization, and then they decided that yeah, we're gonna send the creation after its master. It's gonna work out fine, guys. How does the most secret organization get infiltrated? Tekking is going to review this chapter, and he won't bring up any of these things that I just brought up. He will ignore the fact that this chapter doesn't make any sense. Instead, he starts laughing and cheering that, yeah, Stassi is so badass she took out Roblutsi. I'm not even joking. Doesn't even question the fact how a clone created by Vegapunk was sent after Vegapunk. How there was no one in the world government smart enough to be like, yeah, maybe it's not a good idea to send a creation after its master. Tekking in his review will actually say that, yes, Stassi infiltrated the world government, and that's so great for Vegapunk and the Straw Hats because they have an inside man in the world government. Not even questioning how it's possible for someone, let alone a clone created by Vegapunk, to infiltrate the world government. When the world government decides who is going to be a CP0 agent, do they not do any background checks at all?
And then all of a sudden, Stassi just, boom, knocks out Kaku, and Lucci's like, what? Okay, Shigon doesn't work, but still pretty damn cool. So you might be wondering, how does Stassi take out Rob Lucci, one of the greatest assassins in the entire world? Well, she actually uses some lipstick. Yeah, now it is sea prism lined, sea prism contained lipstick. I'm not even gonna question how expensive that is, really. Wraps her arms around him and just, ah! You know, it's like straight up Alucard kind of shit here, okay? And poor Hattori. Hattori's right there and he's like, Kurapoo, no! And just like watching that his, his best friend Lucci is being like devoured by a vampire right in front of him. Anyway, so yeah, Stassi is an ally working for Vegapunk. The Straw Hats that are still in the room, Nami and Usopp and Robin, Jinbei is also there as well. Luffy's still looking around the lab for Vegapunk and Bonnie. But yeah, they're like, wait a second, holy crap, so you have a secret agent, like a mole, inside of the government's top cipher pull agency? That is huge! How long have you known about that? And Shaka's like, well, it wasn't really my intention to have her become a CP0 agent, but it just kind of happened out that way, you know? So now, at the end of the day, Stussy is still allied with Vegapunk. They're on good terms with each other, which is great, which is a great news for the Straw Hats and everybody at this point. So, yeah, I guess at some point, though, during her travels, whether because she wanted to for some other reason, or maybe she thought, like, well, I'm allowed to go out and live my life because Vegapunk was so kind, but I still want to help Vegapunk out because he's the one that created me, I guess, you know, the cloning and everything like that. Stussy knows who she is. It's not like she's unaware that she's a clone or anything. So maybe she was like, you know what I'll do? I'll join the Cypher Pole Zero because then I'll be able to help out Vegapunk from within. And so this was something that was done beyond Vegapunk's wishes. Vegapunk did not order her to do this, like, you must join Cypher Pole Zero and you know, infiltrate the government. That wasn't the intention, but she did it anyway because I guess she wanted to help out Vegapunk, or because of some other reason that we can only guess at this point. But still, really ended up being helpful in this case, considering they have a double agent on the inside now. So Stussy has some hot news on the government. I mean, she's a CP0 agent, for God's sake.
CP0 agent Stussy is a spy working for Vegapunk. Let me ask you something, okay? How fucking stupid is the world government? Cyberpole is supposed to be a very secret operation. No one is supposed to know about it. They are the assassins of the world government. They are handpicked by the world government. So how is Stussy a double agent? How does a spy get inside of CP0? How does that make any sense? There are spies in it. Working against the world government, like, are you fucking kidding me? In my opinion, what Oda did to Kid in chapter 1079 was a complete disrespect to this character. Kid in Wano took out a Yonko with the help of law. He awakened his devil fruit ability. He is an interesting character with a lot of potential. And Oda took Kid and just threw him in the trash. Not just Kid, but Killer and his entire crew. Why would Oda do something like this? Well, it was just to show off how strong Shanks is. Shanks took out the entire Kid's Pirates crew in one chapter. Now I knew that if Kid and Shanks are going to fight, Shanks is going to win. But I didn't expect Kid to lose like this, to lose in a couple of panels, to have his entire crew wiped out in a single chapter. I mean, this is a guy who took out a Yonko just one arc before he got butchered by a Yonko. I expected Kid to at least last for a couple of chapters. But nope, we have to destroy Kid's entire crew and Kid's entire character. What was the point of even giving him an awakening ability? And why? Oh, we have to show how cool Shanks is. When I look at Shanks in Egghead arc, it makes no sense how powerful this guy is. Let's compare Wano, Kaido and Big Mom to Shanks. Big Mom and Kaido from Wano arc just one arc ago would be so weak compared to Shanks that Shanks can just chain Kaido and Big Mom like dogs and walk them around and they can't do nothing about it. That's the power difference from Wano to Egghead, and it doesn't make any sense. Yes, Shanks was a powerful character. He was always a powerful Yonko, but he wasn't the strongest creature alive. He wasn't the strongest man alive. He was just called the red-haired Shanks. And it makes no sense to me how Kaido and Big Mom are so weak compared to Shanks. At this point, I think that Shanks can literally defeat anyone with his tiny little pinky. Except for Luffy, of course, because Luffy has plot armor. That's the only reason Kid got defeated, because Kid does not have plot armor like Luffy. Now let's watch Tekking talking about this chapter. And of course, he's just going to ignore everything that happened in Wano. He's going to ignore the fact that Kid was able to defeat a Yonko. Kid has an awakening ability. According to this reviewer, this guy who reviews manga, and you can't see this, but I'm doing air quotes when I'm calling this guy a reviewer because he's not a reviewer when it comes to One Piece. He is a fanboy. And according to him, it makes complete sense that Shanks all of a sudden is stronger than literally everyone in One Piece. Like what? If any character in Bleach randomly became as strong as Shanks in just one arc, Tekking would be ranting about it. He would be losing his fucking mind, and that's a fact.
Okay. First things first. Yoink. Alright. Alright, everybody, let's go! Is that Shanks? Shanks takes out his sword, Griffin. An Sigil Owazamono grade sword. And I don't know if that's confirmed either, but it probably is. And he swings, and he uses Divine Departure. He uses Kamusari. He uses the same technique that Roger, his father figure and former captain, used against Odin during their battle. He uses that same technique that sent Odin flying through like 7 trees, okay, that were the size of like redwoods, and then boom. Now, here's a debate. You could say Shanks is maybe even stronger than Roger, you know, because Shanks is like the apprentice of Roger, it's like the student has surpassed the master.
I'm gonna interrupt his video for a second to say one thing. If Shanks has surpassed Roger, if Shanks is now stronger than the Pirate King, why isn't Shanks the Pirate King? The simping for Shanks is absolutely insane.
So he uses Divine Departure here. He completely shreds apart the damn punk railgun. And, I mean, just sliced right in half and just destroyed. I would also add that it was simultaneously that damned punk railgun that screwed over Kid, because the second he pulled that out, Shanks attacked. But also, if it wasn't for that gun absorbing most of that impact, Kid would be cut in 2 right now. Kid would be in 2 pieces. He'd be laying over there and he'd be laying over there, okay? This gun managed to cushion most of that impact. Boom! 1 shot down. I would say dead. Kid's dead. All right, so, okay, we don't know that for certain. I'm not going to get overboard, but he gets hit by this. He goes down, blood everywhere, immediately knocked out, immediately 1 shot down. Killer is also down. We didn't even see this, but Killer just reflexively jumped in to try to protect Kid and help him out, give him support. He also got taken out. Shanks dropped Kid and Killer, 2 members of the worst generation. Anyway, Shanks took them both down with 1 sword swing, with 1 attack, by himself. So Killer's down, half of his mask is cracked off, Kid's down. Heat and Wire immediately. Heat and Wire, the next command structure on the ship, are just like, okay, we quit, we forfeit, we surrender, we're sorry. Here, take the poneglyphs, take them, we don't need them, take them, just get out of here. Please do not kill our captain. Anyway, Shanks took them both down with 1 sword swing, with 1 attack, by himself.
Chapter 1044 was the death of One Piece for me. And that was for 3 reasons. Number 1, the Sun God transformation created a lot of plot holes. It was a literal retcon of the One Piece story, since I already made a video about all the plot holes that this Sun God reveal created. I'm not gonna talk about it in this video. In the description there is going to be a link to a video where I mention all the plot holes and retcons that the Sun God transformation created. The second reason why this chapter made me turn against One Piece is because in Shonen there was always one thing that I hated the most, and that was the main character turning into a special little princess, who was always destined to be the most special princess imaginable. The reason why I liked One Piece is because Luffy, while being a strong character, was never the strongest character. There were the Yonkos, there were the admirals, there was Mihawk and many other characters that were stronger than Luffy. But this chapter changed everything by turning Luffy into a special little princess. He was always special. He was always a little princess. He was always the chosen one, the special one. The one who will be the strongest and most amazing little princess imaginable. The third reason why this chapter made me turn against One Piece is the way Kaido was handled. Oda built up Kaido as the strongest creature alive. Not the second strongest creature alive, not the third or fourth. He built up Kaido since Punk Hazard. The entire arcs of Punk Hazard, Dressrosa, Zou, Wano were all about taking down Kaido, weakening his army, destroying his weapon manufacturing, destroying his artificial devil fruit manufacturing, taking down his second in command, Doflamingo, who was behind the artificial devil fruit manufacturing. I mean, Punk Hazard, Zou, Dressrosa, Wano, Kaido was a secondary villain in 3 of those arcs and became a main villain in Wano. Those arcs combined are like 300 chapters. We are talking about a decade of story, building up this massive villain, introducing this villain as literally the strongest creature alive. And then he got taken out by Luffy, because Luffy died and woke up as a special little princess with magic abilities that were able to literally shapeshift reality around him. Seriously, all the build-up just for that? But don't worry, our favorite reviewer Tekking101 is going to simp for this chapter. He is going to call this the best chapter imaginable. No, I'm not joking. Him, King of Lightning, Roger Space for Neverworld, Mr. Morjay, GB Reviews, basically literally every single One Piece manga reviewer in the existence of YouTube said that this is the greatest chapter in One Piece. The chapter where Luffy died, became a special little princess with amazing abilities by dying, and took out the villain that was built up for a decade easily, literally toying with the villain. Yep, best chapter ever.
What am I supposed to say to introduce this? I'm out of my depth here, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. Roger, what am I supposed to say? I mean, I could just, hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to One Piece chapter 1044. Make sure you belt yourself into your chair because you might shoot off into the stratosphere by the end of it. All right, is that good? Does that work? Okay, let's do that. All right, One Piece chapter 1044 review titled Warrior of Liberation. Also, new rule on the channel. Whenever there's a chapter that is super hyper maximum hype, this one qualifies. I will do the review early, mostly because I cannot wait until Sunday anyway, just like you can't wait, so I'm doing it now.
Is that a giant? Damn, it's a giant. There's 10 of them. These guys are called the numbers. These guys look like oars. Holy shit. These guys look badass. Look at those red piercing eyes. Man, I want to see this guy fight against Luffy. What? So yeah, the numbers were pretty pathetic. Another thing that Oda decided to throw in the trash. Yeah, I'm not even sure what was the point of the numbers. When they were first introduced, They looked badass. They were creepy, scary, massive giant monsters. And when the silhouettes were removed, they looked like Power Rangers villains. You know when Power Rangers go into their Megazord and there are these goofy looking giant creatures everywhere. Yeah, numbers look like these goofy characters from Power Rangers. That's literally the only thing I can compare them to. So when I saw them being taken out one by one like nothing, I was like, okay, they are fodder characters. But Tekking didn't think they were fodder characters. No, Tekking went full copium. He started calling Oda a genius, saying that Oda has everything planned out. Oda on purpose made the numbers weak because he's planning on making the top 3 numbers the strongest of them all. They are going to be badass. They are going to be strong. They are going to have devil fruit abilities. Yeah, Oda is just misdirecting us. He wants us to think that the numbers are weak, but actually Oda is a genius. If you think I'm joking, I'm gonna play Tekking's video right now. But before that, all the numbers were weak. They were all fodder. Tekking and the rest of the One Piece YouTubers are on some massive levels of copium thinking that Oda is a genius that is misdirecting everyone. No dude, Oda is a moron who has clearly stopped giving 2 shits about One Piece. I mean, it's clear to me that Oda wants to finish One Piece as fast as possible so he can finally go fishing. Now let's watch Tekking's massive copium.
Size is nothing. You know, one Kong gun from Luffy charged up with Ryuo is going to floor them, and there's really nothing they can do about it. So that's what I think Oda wants you to think. I think partly the reason Oda introduced the numbers and the fact that there's 10 of them is to be like, okay, some of them are just going to be fodder. Some of them are going to be pretty weak compared to the Straw Hats, and just to show how strong the Straw Hats are. But I think because of such a great writer that Oda is, he's like, I'm going to keep a few of the numbers, though, sort of in my back pocket, and sort of be like, okay, there's a few that are actually really, really strong, that can give the Straw Hats a pretty tough fight. There might be members of the numbers that can use hockey. There might be members that have devil fruit abilities and all that jazz, right? And so I just have to admit, and I've said this before, it's a little strange. So far, we have yet to see numbers 1, 2, or 3. But when it comes to numbers 1, 2, and 3, do not take them lightly, okay? Because if Bleach taught me anything,
the story goes, we find out about a treasure in the grand line, there's no doubt. The pirate whose eye is on it, he'll sing, I'll be king of the pirates, I'm gonna be king.
But some people were questioning, really, Matt? That is the ultimate Deus Ex Machina in Bleach? The final Getsuga Tensho? Not the... basically the exact definition of a Deus Ex Machina that came at the end of the story. You might remember it. It's that bullshit silver arrowhead that literally came out of nowhere in the last 4 chapters of the story that was used to suppress every single one of Yuha's bullshit god powers that he had. Every single ability he had gained throughout the course of the story that literally made him the new god of the world that he was trying to reshape, and he clearly had the ability to do so. That arrow that just suppressed all those powers to the point where Ichigo could literally just cut him in half with a sword and just every problem fucking solved! That's not the ultimate Deus Ex Machina.
Here's how the story goes, we find out about a treasure in the grand line, there's no doubt.
Listen, I still stand by what I said, that the final Getsuga Tensho is the, the ultimate Deus Ex Machina, the quintessential machina, as it were. I don't know, I don't fucking know Latin.
Here's how the story goes, we find out about a treasure in the grand line, there's no doubt. The pirate whose eye is on it, he'll sing, I'll be king of the pirates, I'm gonna be king.
Super hyper maximum hype. The final Getsuga Tensho, I believe, was used in chapter 4, it was at the end of Deicide, so like 422 or something like that. And the Bleach series had, it ended in chapter 686. Okay, you mean to tell me that in, over 200-something chapters, you couldn't throw in a few panels, a few pages of explanation at all. And it's not like you never had the chance to do that. There was a perfect chance to do that. Maybe when Ichigo was training with Nimaya and he was in his inner world and he had a whole chapter where he was discussing shit with, Zangetsu, old man Zangetsu, about the origin of his Quincy powers and everything. They don't even bring it up. They don't even bring up what the final Getsuga Tensho was. And
Tekking said that a character getting a power-up out of nowhere feels incredibly cheap when they already have established powers. Sounds like One Piece to me, you damn clown. How can this guy criticize anything? I mean, this guy is so biased towards One Piece. Tekking literally said that final Getsuga Tensho felt cheap because it was never established. You know what was established in One Piece? Luffy's devil fruit was always Gomu Gomu no Mi. And 25 years later, his devil fruit is actually based on the sun god Nika. Tekking didn't believe that Luffy's transformation, that literally came out of nowhere, cheapened the story. No, he called it... Oh, what was it again? What was it that Tekking called the Gear 5 transformation?
Super hyper maximum hype. Like, yeah, Kubo had plenty of opportunities to explain that. He just never did. He just kind of left it like, yeah, okay, Ichigo, final Getsuga Tensho, that happened, but we're never going to mention it again. And I feel it's a way more cheap thing to do when it's a character that has established abilities that we sort of understand, and then an object that just comes out of nowhere. Like, Ichigo had, okay, Shinigami power, Hollow power, eventually Quincy power. We understand this. And then he gets this final Getsuga. He gets this ability that's like a second stage Bankai. Never mentioned before that existed or that he could do that. You could say that it's connected to his Quincy powers, but I already mentioned my problems with that in the last video. You can go check that out here. I think that's way more of a cheap thing to do.